Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be interviewing Ian Betts, who's just taken his ADI Part 3 test. It was his first attempt, he took it in Norwich, and guess what? He passed. So if you like the video, please like, subscribe for future content and leave any comments of things you'd like to see in the future. Enjoy the video. Well, how long were you thinking about becoming an instructor? Was it a spur of the moment thing, or had you been thinking about this for like years?
I had been thinking about it a little bit, and then it was spare of the moment. I'm going to do this.
And then you found me. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And you're local. You're in Norwich. Well, kind of.
Just outside. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you got started with a course. How did you find the training course? How was it easier than you thought? Harder than you thought?
A bit daunting to start with, not understanding what the procedure is.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it in the end. It was very enjoyable, very different to what I was going to expect, really.
How did you find the online part of the course? Because you did the online stuff before you got in car. How was that? Did you
that helped a lot, as in understanding what is going to happen to start with, what I need to learn and find out about. So yeah, that gave me a little bit of a jump just to have all that information in advance, and rather than, like you say, sort of you going over it, with doing that, gone through online, I just give that me advance.
What I found since sort of getting people to do that is that by the time we get in car, you're able to sort of hit the ground running. We're not having to explain like the very basics to you. You've sort of done that. You've been out, done the activities, practice. So when we're in car, you can just sort of
just
hit
get
the
on.
ground running, so to speak. And then how many hours training what did you get? Can you remember?
Was this with yourself or before?
Yeah, like so with your course, you did your online stuff, and then you got in car. So how many hours did we spend together in car?
In car, I think we've done about 40 hours.
That's it. All right, good. And how many trainee licenses did you take? You did it on first one? Just
for the ADI, yes, I passed on my first go.
So first time pass, you took your part 3 and you just needed the one pink license to do it.
Yes.
That's brilliant. So how far into your badge, your trainee license, did you take your first attempt?
Trying to think. I think I got my first badge in February.
Yeah.
And then due to the difficult at the moment, I think that's over with now, but the difficult in getting a test to start with took a little bit longer, obviously, with the test. And then I passed literally, like say, a couple of days ago. February to July.
So my guess was you were about 5 months in because of the delays getting a test.
So my first badge actually ends in the end of August. So yes, I had 1 month left.
Great. Yeah. So okay. So in 5 months, getting out with your learners, having a bit of practice. A question that I'd love. I'm fascinated by this. When you did your first day, because we'd been role playing, haven't we?
Yeah.
And then you get a real learner. What's the difference?
It was very strange to be in a car with somebody I don't know. Obviously, with the role play with yourself, getting to know yourself. Yeah, very different. And then the scenarios are real rather than with yourself. We're making them up and role playing it. So it's real scenarios, real training.
Was it a big step up? Did you feel my God, Howard never did this? Or was it,
Yeah,
was
so
it a bit of a leap?
We talked about scenarios, but like say with a student, that they then become real, and it's then trying to progress on from that real scenario rather than, but with the training, that's then putting that into action
Did you
and
find
then go ahead with it.
Did you find it tiring when you started? Because I know you before with your job, you work long hours, and feedback I get from a lot of people when they go on the training license is that how drained they felt. Did you get that draining feeling on your first sort of few days or week? Or...
Mentally drained, not physically. Well, obviously, just sort of sitting there as such anyway. But yeah, mentally drained. It was the first week. It was,
Yeah.
very,
Oh,
very
well,
hard
that's
work.
yeah. So that a lot of people relate to that because they think, well, how hard can it be? I'm just going to sit in a car directing, and then it's when it just really drains the old brain, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. The concentration levels are a lot higher. Obviously, with yourself when we're doing the training, it's like say a big jump to the concentration of your pupil and all your surroundings.
Yeah. And now when you go out, are you settled in? Does it feel like, yeah, I
Yes, I
just
feel
rock
much more
up and go and
relaxed.
do a lesson?
Yeah, much more relaxed, knowing exactly what my aim is with every single pupil I'm with, and enjoyable.
Good. Well, I'm glad you said enjoyable. Can you imagine if you didn't like it?
Yeah. No.
No, I'm going to quit next week. Okay, so would you mind telling us a little bit about the day of your test? Obviously, we've established you did your part 3, you did it in your first attempt, straight through. So yeah, how did it? Yeah, tell us about your day, your
Yeah,
driving
so obviously very
test.
nervous to start with. Like any test, it's quite nervous to start with, not knowing what's going to happen. So I picked my pupil up. We'd done a sort of little brief of what we're going to do, which was with the pupil was roundabouts and lane junctions, lanes and junctions on roundabouts. And so on the way to the test centre, I took them around the NDR in Norwich to sort of see where they need sort of teaching on.
So the India, just so we clarify, because we hear this a lot in Norwich, no one will know what that is. What's the NDR?
It's the bypass road that goes on the outskirts of Norwich. So you've got the A47 go around one side, and then the NDR, which is full of roundabouts, go around the west side of Norwich.
So we've got dual carriageways, multi-lane roundabouts.
Yes.
So it's quite
and very busy.
Yeah, it's quite a tricky road, isn't it? It's
yes. Yeah. So we went on the NDR on the way to the test centre to just so I can sort of see, like say, where the mistakes my pupil was making. So on the way, I didn't sort of mention anything to her whatsoever, or try and sort of control anything of, like say, the teaching side of things. So when I got to the test centre, it was a matter of then I know what I need to fix with her, and I can show this, and then go ahead and do it.
So on the way, you've got your pupil to drive on the roads that you're going to be using through a test.
Yeah.
They've not driven on that road.
No, never.
You've kind of did a bit of a recce, bit of an observation. So you would have a bit of a heads up of what you would need to do. What did they show you? What from that little drive into the test centre? What did your pupils show you that you thought, oh, okay, we could do this?
The speed coming up to the roundabout.
Yeah.
She was actually, the pupil was actually a bit nervous in going sort of high speeds. So had trouble getting them to sort of get up to 70 mile an hour, or even appropriate speed, 60 mile an hour. So they were just, sort of between 50, 55 mile an hour, which obviously on a dual carriageway is a bit nervous when you got lorries keeping up with you with the traffic.
So the lorries were going faster than you were.
Yes. We had big trucks trying to take over, which is a bit nerve-wracking. And then lane discipline. So coming up to the lanes, just cutting straight across 2 to 3 lanes, not realising that the lanes that you need to stay in to go round, sort of cutting
Oh, well, so
across.
she's approached to go ahead on the left-hand lane, lane 1,
Yeah,
and cut through to 3.
went on to lane 2, even cut lane 3 at one point.
I bet you're thinking, oh, God, we'll be busy.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So that's good. So you found out your pupil's a bit slow on the roads for the conditions and straying out of lanes.
Yes.
Anything else before you got there, or was that kind of the gist of it?
That's kind of the gist of it. The people weren't a bad driver. It just they'd never done busy roundabouts or dual carriageway, or we'd never done busy, the busy carriageways and roundabouts.
Got
So
it.
I thought this would be a perfect opportunity for them and
Yes.
then myself.
So you got to the test centre, and what examiner should we mention? Yeah, you can mention the examiner. I'm sure they won't mind if they.
Yeah, can't remember his name now, to tell you the truth.
Was it
It's
Brad?
Brad. Yes, that's it.
Brad.
Yes, I met Brad. Nice gentleman. Put me at ease. Because obviously it's a bit nervous for a test like any test. So yes, he put me at ease. He explained exactly what he's there to do and what he's going to do. And so we drive for exactly 45 minutes, or 45 minutes in the car. So you get a few minutes to do your prep at the beginning to explain what the lesson's going to be about.
Yeah.
Explain to the people that, what they wanted to learn from the lesson, and then going ahead to do it, and then coming back, just a debrief. So as we left the centre, we went and headed out to the NDR, and the first or second roundabout, which is a little bit of a tricky one because at a slight angle to come off on for the first exit, and there straight away the people went across 2 lanes, and I actually had a car up slightly beside me, ready to stay in their lane, in the right hand lane,
Right.
and yeah, to show that she just went straight, or the people went straight ahead on the lanes to cut across, which I didn't intervene as much as I should have done to
Okay.
bring them back over. I was more verbal to bring them back over rather than I should have maybe been physical to bring them back over. But I felt comfortable in the position because I could see the car behind hold them back. Soon as they left the roundabout, the person sort of knew what they were going to do as well. Whereas if they would have been any closer, then possibly I would have then intervened and pulled them over. But I think, looking in hindsight, I should have intervened straight away and got the steering wheel and pulled them over. Because if that was a fast car beside us, maybe they wouldn't have held back as much.
Okay. Yeah.
Then, we carried on. Speed was an issue. Like I said before, they were doing about 50, 55 mile an hour. So then it's just explaining to them that we do need to go a bit quicker. A more appropriate speed would be at least 60, 65 if they didn't feel comfortable doing 70. So it's then explaining that, which in the end, the people did then understand and get up to that speed, which was then great. And then the roundabouts, explaining how the roundabouts work exactly, and the targets we needed to get that to do the roundabouts ended up coming together. We had a
So
couple of
after
incidents where we left the NDR. Sorry.
sorry to interrupt. I just got to jump in with a question. So after that, the safety critical, the intervention with the cutting of the lanes,
Yeah.
how did you deal with that? What happens? How did you kind of talk to your pupil about it?
Yeah, so it's explaining or getting them to acknowledge if they'd done anything wrong or not, which then they realised that they had after me explaining how the lanes work, and then they realised that yes, they do need to stay in their lane, explaining, like I say, a situation that happened, and then talking through the hazards of it, the dangers of it, which they then understood, which then helped for the next roundabout, which they then stayed in their lane, cut across a little bit, still over the white line, sort of a wheel a little bit, and explaining that, like, if there was a lorry or a van beside us, they're slightly wider than a lane, or good as wide as a lane. So it's a matter of, staying in that lane in the centre as much as possible.
So were you able to keep them moving, wheels moving, or did you have to go off
I
somewhere
did
and pull
that.
up and have a
Because
chat?
of the distance between that roundabout and the next one, we managed to talk about it and get that resolved while we were still moving.
Yeah.
And then coming up to the next roundabout, it was a matter of, look, do you want to try this roundabout again yourself, or would you like some help from myself? And they automatically said, I'd like help from yourself to explain what exactly I need to do, which is
Yes.
then what went ahead and done.
So throughout your part 3, did you have to pull up the pupil at all, or were you wheels moving the whole
No,
40
we
minutes?
did pull over once. We had an incident where we left the NDR so we could go round and do, rather than carry on ahead every time, second exit, we done it. So we left the roundabout to take a right, third exit, and then we can come onto a roundabout and take a right, third exit. So we're not just carrying on, we're doing different maneuvers on the roundabout. And the incident we had is when we left the NDR on a single carriageway, there was a car parked and a car coming towards us, and the people just went over to the other side of the road to overtake the parked car, which the timing was a little bit close to the car coming the other way. So then I pulled the people over, and then explained that situation, that they should have maybe hold back to let the car come through, rather than forcing them to brake. They didn't have to brake hard, but they had to brake a little bit to let us carry on coming through.
Got it. So you pulled up for that one, had a chat.
Yeah.
So okay, any other like dramas on it? Was there any
So we
faults
went
if you
round and done it again.
incidents?
So like I said, we joined the NDR so we could practice and done sort of third exits, and then came round and done the exactly same single carriageway again with the parked car, and then they'd done it absolutely perfect. So what we talk about, they took in, understood, and then done it perfect. It's very difficult to do a lesson as such in 45 minutes from leaving the centre and getting back, and that was the biggest struggle, is in how much time I've got to, to what I need to do to prove
Yeah.
that I'm teaching the pupil.
Yeah, it's quite difficult in that amount of time to demonstrate the competencies and get that pupil to be a little bit better.
Yeah, because of that incident with the parked car, it then takes it away from the roundabout, because I couldn't then leave that. That needed then discussing and talking about, and then moving on to, like you say, fixing that problem before we then carry on with the rest of it.
I see. So you made a decision to adapt the lesson to the going up
Yes.
car incident and away
Yeah.
from the roundabouts. Do you think that was the right thing to do? Did you get any feedback on that one?
So the examiner told me that was the right thing I'd done in the end, because if we'd have forgotten about that, that could have been forgotten about forever. So when something come up, it's a matter of fixing it then straight away. So then getting on to the next thing. Made our way back, and then when we got back, we'd done a debrief. Asked the people if everything, was happy with everything that we'd done, and they mentioned they still didn't understand the third exit, turn and right, third exit, the lane choices. So then I explained that that's another lesson. Then we can go do just turn and right, explaining the third exits, which lanes to take, because they wanted to stay in the right hand lane as they left the third exit.
Oh, I see.
So when I told them how to do it, they'd done it perfect. When I left the people to their own accord, they would then drift over, still then got lost a little bit.
So did you get any feedback on that? Because remember, you had to deal with the parked car incident.
Yeah, so
What
the
was the
feedback from
feedback?
the tester was then he said that was an excellent debrief. I've learned from the people where they're struggling with, and I know in the future for my next lesson where to start from to then solve that situation.
Did the examiner say you should have got that exit in the roundabout thing sorted, or was there just not time?
There wasn't time in the end. No.
Got it. And yeah, any other bits of feedback that the examiner could give you that would help you sort of going forwards? You know, if you were to do that same lesson again tomorrow.
Yeah, so
anything?
maybe a little bit more verbal pulling over and verbally going through, or getting maybe the book out even to go through a little bit more detailed.
Oh, I see. So the examiner said he would have liked you to pull up more.
Yeah, a little bit more. Yeah, like for the first incident, so there was a lay-by not too far away, which I could have pulled in there and gone through it in a bit more detailed, rather than explaining why we were driving. So in hindsight, I understand totally what he's saying. It's just because to me it was a test. I thought I just had to get on as such, and yeah, try and complete what I needed to do with the people. Whereas I don't think exactly that is what they want to see. They want to see, like say, the full lesson as you would normally, like say, pull them up and then go through it in a bit more detail.
Yeah, I mean, because it was a safety critical where they've gone across, say a bit more analysis. So if you can, pull them up and then get out of the people what the dangers were.
Yeah.
Try and get to the root cause. I mean, were they going in too fast, do you think, or trying to change gear?
No,
Or
it wasn't the speed. It was just going in a straight line there enough.
Okay.
Not turning the steering wheel enough and following the lane round. They didn't just understand the dotted lines, the white dotted lines with the lane choices.
I see. You got some good feedback, and now you're an ADI. And
yes,
you got your badge. You sent me a picture. Was it today?
Yeah,
you sent me
so the badge turned up today. Yeah, that was very quick. Yes, nice green badge rather than the pink one. Couldn't have done it without your help and doing the extra work, like you say, with the online, looking online to, going through them sort of courses, and yeah, and then your extra.
Yeah, it just kind of sets you up for the in-car stuff, so we don't have to waste time, explaining basic concepts, because you get in the car and you've already planned a lesson, you know what you're doing, you know where you're going, and we just bang it out, get it done. So that really helped you, help me, because then I don't have to explain everything over and over and over. It's just like, have you done the thing? Let's
more
let's
time
do
driving. We had more time driving and doing rather than talking over it again. That's the same with the people. Trying to spend more time with them driving rather than
exactly. If I was planning a lesson, I might say, hey, well, check out this video on roundabouts, because we're going to be doing that next week, or get them to read, like if you're going to do the emergency stop, get them to look up a couple of rules in the highway code, stopping distances, rule 126 or whatever. It kind of gets them to take some initiative. And not everyone does it, do they? But you were one of those people that did the work, so you really helped yourself.
Paid off in the end.
Yeah. So thank you for being a role model student, Ian. Thank you very much.
Not a problem.
And it paid off, because now you're an ADI. All right,
Yeah.
so it is recording, so we'll just kick off. So I'm just aware I've got the ironing board. Can I move that? It's going to bother me. There's all that is an ironing board. Jesus Christ. Get the bloody ironing board out of the way. Can you see it there? Is that out of the way?
No, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's all right. That just bothered me. Right, anyway, so okay, take 3.